Hello, everyone. Very good evening and warm welcome to you all for today's program. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to the 15th program. It was great that seeing that this InsightView series is growing on a month-on-month basis, which we started as a small activity to give some knowledge, to give connect to the fraternity. Now we are into the 15th program. It gives a lot of it shows a lot of merit on what we were able to consistently able to do. It's all because of people like you who were joining quite regularly and willing to learn, willing to share, which is very, very important for an organization like us. So I am Balasubramanian, President of Advertising Club Madras and the National Head for Digital for Dinamala. So today is going to be a very, very interesting topic, AI in and for advertising, which is actually pretty new and probably Mr. Nagaraj is going to give you quite a bit of lot of stuffs on it. So our journey through Insight has been nothing short of inspiring. It's the crowd that we get, which gives us the strength to do this kind of program on a consistent basis, even when we even have a bigger activities like Maddies and other stuff. Just to give a short update on what is happening around us on Maddies is. The Maddies jury is starting their judging process today, and we are going to conduct the Maddies on 28th of June at Madras Race Club. Hopefully, we would love to meet you guys during the event and see you winning the awards and see you celebrating the advertising that we are trying to create. So that's a quick thing. And probably I think I should extend a warm welcome to Suraj Salim, our secretary and co-founder of Digitally Inspired Media, to introduce today's speaker. Over to you, Suraj.
Thank you so much, Bala. Good evening, everyone. Very glad to see Harshita, who's switched on her camera. It's a it's a pleasant surprise to see a few people. I saw Vineet switch on his camera. It's nice to see many known names, regular names like you were saying, Bala. Yogita from Be Positive, and I think I remember Godwin's name earlier. A few regular names. Very nice to see you all. Um, Thank you once again, and welcome to the 15th InsightView series session. We're very proud and happy to have Nagaraj, who is our esteemed speaker for the evening. Nagaraj and a few of us just met sometime earlier today and had a very nice casual chat. I think there's a lot to learn and we'll demystify the AI bit for all of us today from a press and an advertising standpoint. It's going to be a lot of fun and good things to learn as to what's coming up. Before we begin, I would like to introduce Nagaraj. So Nagaraj comes with nearly 30 years of experience, half of it in the media space and the rest in technology and data. His current work is in data and analytics, as well as leading AI initiatives at The Hindu. He has previously been a reporter, analyst, editor, and leader in the news and journalism space. His technology work includes mobile backend as a service, software robos, financial advisory and news editor, that is, proximity and geolocation for pathfinding and navigation, edge telemetrics for automotive, etc. His work for using AI for SEO optimization won a WAN-IFRA award for best use of AI in the newsroom in March 2024. He also writes on science and technology, including AI, in the Hindu business line. So I'd welcome Nagaraj to take over from here. Over to you, Nagaraj.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure for me and a privilege to be addressing this particular group. Thank you so much to the Ad Club for this opportunity for me. In the last few years, I end up speaking to tech and product folks in the audience. It's refreshing for me to come in and speak to marketers and advertisers. So thank you so much. So I will now go straight to business because I thought I'll run through some slides in the beginning. I'll probably take about 20 minutes for it. And after that, I intend to do a live demo. I also have a recorded demo just in case something goes wrong with the connections or you're not able to see the video clearly and so on. We'll take that as it comes. So for now, I'll just go over to do a sharing of the screen. My screen should be visible at the moment. Yes, perfect. So this is a quote that's been doing the rounds recently. I actually came across this quote more than 2 months back, actually, in some of the AI-related channels. A newspaper published this sometime in the last few days, and it's become so big. And having worked with AI for 1.5 years now, roughly, I can tell you that I identify very, very strongly with this, that I want AI to do my laundry and dishes so that I can do art and writing, not for AI to do my art and writing so that I can do my laundry and dishes. But having said that, it's also a question of priorities for each of us. There is one thing around what gives us satisfaction and what makes us happy. But on the other side, there is also the question of how do we earn our livelihood and what is our work. So sometimes it's very difficult to sort of bridge the gap between these two. I always say that you are in a very good place if what's bringing you the money is also the thing that gives you happiness. So that I am generally very envious of people in the advertising industry. My wife is a former advertising executive as well. And I think advertising is one of those few areas where you can be so happy in your job, even while things are punishing, you have a punishing schedule. Clients are always wanting more. On the media side, things are always changing. There's so much change in technology, all of this. You have to deal with all of this. But also dealing with all of this is also gives you pleasure and makes you happy. So very unique place. I think the next place for something like that is journalism. So I come from a journalism background in the news industry. A lot of my work, which I do around AI, is actually revolves around how to do better things for our journalists. So at the Hindu, we took AI very seriously from the time it was announced and became generally available. This is sometime around November, December 2022. Like I said, we've been doing stuff for about 1.5 years now. And if you look at how we approach how we should use AI, generative AI particularly, we use it for 4 things. We use it to create stuff. We use it for aiding distribution. We use it for expanding our footprint. And we do things to make us more efficient. So I think all 4 of these are very, very important for the marketing and advertising industry as well. And I think this is where a lot of what I will speak about coming from the news industry will make you identify with what I'm saying. So on the creation side, we think that the generative AI gives us immense possibilities for idea generation. So one of the key things about idea generation is that the idea that you get back from the machine, while it's great when it's applicable right away, it's something that helps you start off your thinking process. As many times, the ideas that the machine will give you will be very close to what you might have intended to do yourself. So it's sort of, in one way, it validates the idea you have, but on the other hand, it also gives you a structure and a framework with which you can proceed with your ideas. That is from a taking inspiration point of view, but you could also actually use it to generate copy, to generate images, and so on. So that's all. There are two aspects to the creation side of this. I think it's appropriate here to talk about the specific capabilities of generative AI, large language models, that what they bring to the table for us. So I know that many of you would have already read about AI and large language models and so on, but very, very simply put, a large language model is trying to predict the next word in a game of build a sentence. Basically, imagine that we are a group of people that's playing building sentences. Like if I start off saying life and Suraj says is and Bala says beautiful, we built a sentence, right? We've played these games in long journeys, during long journeys, waiting at the airport, perhaps waiting for the doctor, whatnot. When you're kids, you play these games. Essentially, a large language model is playing that game. So when you give it an instruction or when you ask it for something, it's playing a game of build this sentence or complete this sentence, which is why in all large language models, you have a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And when you give a thumbs up, it reinforces that learning. When you give a thumbs down, it goes back and plays the round again to give you an answer that you might better like. What this means also is that LLMs are very bad at math, which goes to show, right? Math is difficult, but it's really bad at math. Like if you ask what is 2 plus 2, and it said 4, which is the right answer, but by chance you press the thumbs down button, it's very likely to come back and ask you, is it 5? So it doesn't know math. It doesn't know that 2 plus 2 is always going to be 4. Not happening. Anyway, just to keep that in mind as we go through the different things that we can use AI for. So in the news industry, and I'm sure we have parallels for it in advertising as well. So in the news industry, one of the things that happens is there are many. If you open a newspaper or if you go to a news website, there are multiple sections. These sections have to kind of really balance the line between writing for an expert in that area versus writing for the general reader in that area. An example that I could give you is, let's say, writing about science and technology in the Hindu newspaper. So on the one hand, you want to do serious journalism. You want to be able to inform and educate people who are studying science or who are scientists themselves. So your writing might tend to get too technical. And then on the other hand, the vast majority of your audience are not scientists. They may not be science students, but they are still interested in what you have to say. And you want to sort of be able to write for them as well. We've done pilots. We have not used what I'm about to say, we don't use in the newsroom, but we've done pilots around this. So one of the things that we do is we used artificial intelligence and we found that the bulk of our science writing and our health writing is at the postgraduate level, meaning that if you wanted to truly understand and appreciate what that article was trying to tell you, you would most likely need to have a postgraduate degree. Even if you were a very good graduate, it's likely that some parts of what we wrote might go above your head, or you probably think you know what we are saying, but it actually doesn't register. So one very important thing to note here is we used AI to figure that out. And then the next step is we are running a pilot for it. We make AI rewrite that article to a more age-appropriate or education-appropriate audience. So we could take a story that is right now having a rank of, you need a postgraduate degree to understand this. We can ask the AI to rewrite it saying, somebody who's finished high school or 12th standard must be able to understand this. And you can see that AI most times does a really good job. Sometimes you will have to sort of pick up and rewrite, but most times it does a very good job. How can we use this in advertising? So if we were in a situation where you had copy that was done for print advertising, but you want to be able to do social media posts, Instagram posts, and so on, which closely cleaves to your article for your print media copy, but you don't have the time and resources, or just that the subject is too vast and too wide for you to be able to do all the adapts yourself. You could potentially use generative AI there. When we talk about adaptation, I think the most common adaptation that advertisers do is to do language, is to adapt for language, make translations. Translations are very, very powerful. Like the famous person said, it's not a matter of words only, it's a matter of making intelligible a whole new culture. And it's very important. The idea with generative AI is that, number one, generative AI translates pretty well. But more importantly is that because most generative AI workflows are iterative, meaning that you do a back and forth with it, just as you would with a human being who's designing things for you, or who's coding things for you, or your copywriter, and so on. So you would do a back and forth just like that, which means you can actually tweak the instructions to your AI translator and saying, make this formal, make this business-like, make this casual, make this colloquial, mix English and Hindi words, mix English and Tamil words, and so on. You could give these instructions, and AI is pretty good at following this. Again, like I said, there is always going to be a bit of a back and forth, but it's important that it does a good job. Also, because of all the digital media and all the new channels and all the new forms of communication, pretty much, it's not going to be only text. And it's not, so typically in advertising, we tend to think of it as text or film. But there is this whole range in between. If you take things like Instagram stories and Facebook stories and Instagram reels and so on. Each of these, while you could say all of these are visual media, the fact remains that each of them has a specific grammar. Each of them requires a certain format, a certain kind of video that could potentially make it viral. Again, going back to our example, you might have a print copy and you might have a television script for a film, and you might want to do multiple other things with it across media. And generative AI makes it very, very easy for you to work across media. I'm going to show this to you in a demo in just a little while. Instagram, right? In Instagram, filters make everything look better. Filters make bad photograph look good. Pretty bad background seem very, very interesting, and it can make a very interesting background look just genius, right? Similarly, you can use AI filters to do multiple things with your text, with your media, with your work, and it can make it better. The filters can make it better. One of the key areas that we struggle with from a news company standpoint is our product needs to be deep and wide, and that's not possible, right? We have only so many resources, we have only so many people that can turn out journalism, we have only so much time to do things. And this basically means that when we want to do something very specific for a given segment, if we are able to take the help of generative AI, that's fabulous. And I'll show this for you through one of my demos. And one of the last challenges that generative AI helps us overcome is personalization. And I think marketing is moving to personalized and hyper-personalized stuff. Advertising naturally has to move with marketing. And of course, one of the key things is that we don't want the personalization to creep our audience out. In our case, to keep your target audience, your potential customer out. And it's important for us to do certain things around each of these. So I have embedded here a set of things that I did as a demo this morning for this group. But what we could do potentially is I can move over my screen to a live demo situation. And you could tell me whether you're able to see my screen. Thumbs up would do. Perfect. Thanks, Arti.
Yeah.
So I'm actually doing this as a live demo. So I'm going to be as surprised or as shocked as you are, given that I'm going to be writing this for seeing the answers for the first time. I have a pre-recorded demo of a similar thing that I did earlier this evening, which is linked from the deck. But this one, what I'm showing you right now, is live. So you are, if most of you are from Chennai, then you know that August is our Chennai birth month, and we generally do a lot of activities around August. And last year, Made of Chennai, the event that we did, month-long event that we did, won multiple awards around the world for audience engagement and so on. And obviously, we'd like to follow it up with another edition this year. So you can see the prompt that I'm writing. I'm basically explaining a little bit about the city and talking about how old the city is, what the city is famous for. And then I'm basically saying, give me ideas for events and exhibits across the city, performances and special events for weekends, and competitions that I could do for readers and audiences of the city newspaper, which is 145 years old. I'm going to hit enter. And let's see what happens. Sorry about that. So you can actually see that it's giving us a lot of ideas to start off with. I can already see some very interesting stuff that we probably hadn't thought of. So heritage walks is something we do, cultural exhibits we do, arts and craft exhibitions we do. In music and dance festivals, Carnatic classical and Bharatanatyam are like straight away there, and then folk music as well. But you can see that it's also giving me examples of what kind of dance performances to look for. Food we do, film and theater we do as well. And most of the competitions that we are looking at here, we have done before in various editions of Art Made of Chennai. But here are some new things. Citywide decor, historical reenactments, specific Marina Beach Festival. We've done the public art installations before. We used the metro stations for that the last year around. But you can also use AR and VR technology to create immersive experiences of historical Chennai. And this is a new idea. So, like I said, in terms of idea generation, this is an area where you could look at getting new ideas. And I think I got about 2-3 ideas from this, even though a bunch of it was something that we've done before. Now I'm going to say, give me add copy. So for those of you who can't see what I typed, I just said, give me ad copy for a print ad covering the city and focus on the heritage, culture, food, and fumes areas. Give me three options, one aimed at city residents, one aimed at Indian visitors, and one aimed at overseas visitors. All right. Let me say, so I've asked it for social media posts, copy. Social media posts, only the copy do okay, but we all know that they all do better with images. So I asked it for 3 images. So the first one is in that food. The second one is films. The third one is on 50. I'm also saying, give me scripts for radio announcements. English. Just in case people don't know what SSML is, that's the format in which text to speech conversion happens. So I'm just gonna play a conversion of that script. So to be honest, I did not touch it. I did not do too many back and forths. It's very, very possible to get much better copy out of this, which we have done before in our POCs at the Hindu. And it's also very, very, the voices are tunable actually. So at the Hindu, we took a very deliberate decision that we haven't put out we haven't published any of these audio yet, but we also have a policy that says we will keep this voice slightly robotic to make sure that the consumer understands that this is a robotically generated voice or it's a robot voice. Because we do not want people to assume that somebody said it or come back to us and say, most of the time it sounds natural, but here and there it sounds unnatural. We did not want that feedback. We want our audience to know that some of this is robotic. So,
Mr.
also,
Nagaraj,
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. I think a few people have messaged in the chat box that they were not able to hear you. Just I thought I should take a break
Not
and
hearing
check
him,
with.
they were unable to hear the audio that he played.
Oh,
The
is it?
generative audio, no, that he has showed us. That they were not able to hear. Even I am not able to hear. If you can show us, it will be a real good excitement for all of us once again, sir.
Let me do that, because we tested it out in the afternoon and it seemed to be working fine. And you know how that is. Yeah, that's it.
Still not able to hear, sir.
Nobody is hearing it, or
Yeah,
only
yeah.
some of it?
It's
Yeah,
not
nobody is
audible.
able to hear it.
Okay. One thing that I could possibly do is, does the chat allow attachments? Let me just.
Our chat.
Yeah, you can send a file.
Yes, you can.
I can send a file, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I will send a file. I'll send a file.
Yeah.
Anybody can
that.
play and.
Yes, I'll send a file. But before I send the file, I just had a couple more things to show on the chat window. I'll finish that and then come back to the chat window.
All right.
Okay,
all right. Thank
fantastic.
you.
Super. So let's say that so Chennai has great expat communities. So I just want to say Chennai has expat communities from Japan, Korea, Germany, and the US. So this sort of talks to two things that I was talking about. One is around segmentation, meaning, hey, I'm not just looking at the expat community as one community, but I can identify large groups within my expat community, because each of those communities is looking, their experience of and for Chennai is very different from each other. And our ability to communicate to them, particularly not just in their language, but also in a way that is unique, that connects that community to Chennai and send out a message, is a very, very important part of using AI in all our messaging channels. So we use some of these, not just the translations, but even for segmenting, we use it for our subscription products. We do segmenting and targeted communications for our subscription products. I think this is a cool way to be able to segment people. That is one. Yet another thing that we could do is personalization. So in this particular case, I'm using the chat interface to get results, but most of this AI work is great when it's done at scale. And when you have to do it at scale, you will obviously use each LLMs or models, APIs, and so on. And you'll have your own feedback mechanism with the API. So one of the key things I want to tell here that is very important is while doing some of this is very easy on the chat interface, when you want to do it at scale and when you work with APIs and so on, your ability to iterate using that other set of interfaces has to be very good. And for that, I would recommend that people who want to seriously explore this should take some base courses from deeplearning.ai. And Google also offers free courses that you should definitely look at. I'm just going to do one example for personalized communications. Like I said, I'm typing out instructions, but you can always use it programmatically. You can pass email lists and names and their preferences, all of it as arrays into an API and then get results based on that. Let me just go ahead with this. So you can see that it sort of assumed that I wanted an email invitation and did this invitation. Of course, this could you could use something like this in DMs. You could use something like this in your social messaging, your DMs, and so on. So basically, a fair bit of what I said are challenges for us that we are overcoming with AI. Sort of tried to do it with one particular example here. There is one thing for which I'm unable to do a demo because it requires scale, but that's a very, very interesting use case. In fact, there are two related use cases. So one kind of use case is around having AI do quality checks for you. And this is very, very important for us. We're actually working on a prototype where we have the Hindu style guide. The Hindu style guide basically talks about how articles should be written for the Hindu. And we have sort of made it into a bot. So you could send, if we invited one of you to write something on advertising for a business line paper and you did, you don't know our style guide, but we want to publish something that follows our style guide. So what we could potentially do is take your copy, run through our style guide, and it will actually point out the places where your copy doesn't follow our style guide. And somebody could actually, one of the sub-editors could fix it, and then we run it through again and we get a perfect score and we are good to go. So doing something like that is possible. So if you're working for a brand that is very, very conscious of its style and style guide and so on, you could always use a bot that you created with the style guide to check for the style and to sort of give you a score on how good you are when it comes to that brand set, or whatever communication you've created sort of adheres to that style. That is one for which I'm unable to show you because it requires a fair bit of training. The other example is around using robots or AI to pick things for you. So one of the things that we do is for the business line newspaper, for example, a key audience segment is chartered accountants. So if we were to run a newsletter, weekly newsletter that's aimed only at chartered accountants, it is, instead of having somebody pick things through the week to send out an email newsletter, we can actually have a bot that, as each article is published, sort of scores the article for whether a chartered accountant will like it or not. And then these are scored and kept. And then once a week, the top 25 articles in that list sort of go out as a newsletter. So these are the two use cases that I spoke about in terms of segmenting and new content and so on, but I wasn't able to show you in this demo, but it's entirely possible. That sort of brings me to the end of my session. But before that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about a few things to keep in mind when you operate with AI. So there was a bit of a thing there. But here's the thing. When we use AI, we have to be very clear about how we use AI, what will we use AI for, and so on. So the first thing is responsible use. At the Hindu, we are very, very clear. We follow what is called the T principle. So in TEA, T stands for transparency, E stands for explainability, and A stands for accountability. So in essence, we are basically saying that we have to be as committed and take responsibility for anything that AI generates within our systems as we would for human beings. So this is a very important concept. It's a very important principle, and we keep it at the heart of everything that we even try with AI. Transparency particularly is important because transparency is three ways actually. The first transparency is around people who use AI within our systems for various things. They should be transparent to the company about their use of AI. The second kind of transparency is, as a brand, we have to be transparent to our reader or our audience about where we have used AI and where we have not used AI. And the third one is a more overarching transparency principle around all stakeholders must be aware of when we use AI, where do we use AI, and that the AI output is clearly labeled as such. So it's one thing is from a governance perspective, one thing is from a brand perspective, and one thing is from a employee and you knowing whether the employee used AI or not, and so on. That's very critical. The other fundamental principle that we have kept at heart in the Hindu is HITLO. We like to call it HITLO. It's short for human in the loop. So we say that nothing should go out automatically. Something can be generated automatically, but a human being has to take a look at it. There is no, we're not going to have the situation of this statement does not require a signature because it's computer generated. We're not going to do that. We are very clear that that is not the kind of output that we want to give to our audience. In essence, it goes back to, we want AI to empower our journalists to do more, to do better. It is not in our DNA to say that this is something that a machine generated and I will not take responsibility for it. I don't feel responsible for it. That is not in our DNA, and that stays true. So we have this principle as the foundation of everything that we do with AI. What this also means is, and I have to be very honest here, we don't productionize all our AI work fast enough, like some of our counterparts around the world do. Currently, we've done 70 POCs. We have 3 in production AI models out of 70, right? Out of 70, there are about 3 that are work in progress. All the rest of it are, we did the POCs and we have kept it mainly because either we are not able to find the correct human in the loop, or we are able to find the human in the loop, and the human in the loop is saying, I am not confident of sending this out with the Hindu's brand name on it, and therefore we haven't productionized it. So what this also means is it's going to be a long process. You will have to work on multiple things. You will have to do multiple POCs and tests and demos and so on before you are able to actually use much of this in your day-to-day work. But certainly, I think there are 2 or 3 low-hanging fruit that will be useful for advertising. One is around getting the idea, as in get something from where you get your inspiration from. That is certainly one use case. The second use case is around quality control. AI and LLM are fantastic in grammar and spellings and stuff like that. And it's fabulous to do that. And the third is to sort of validate with the AI for the kind of result that you want. Like if you wrote a copy for an audience segment that you're not very familiar with, one of the best things you could do is take the copy, describe your audience segment, and ask the AI, ask the model, how would you score this copy for this audience? And you will actually get a score. And in many cases, it will also explain why you got a bad score if you got a bad score, or why you got a great score if you got a great score. I think those 3 are low-hanging fruit. The actual content generation and image generation and video generation demos that some of which you saw today, many of which you've probably seen in YouTube and elsewhere, those I think fall definitely in the Hitlo group, not just Hitlo group, also the instance that I said earlier about sometimes the human being actually comes out and says, I don't want to send this out with our brand on it. That brings me to the end of my session. Thank you very much. I will move away from this and attach the audio and see whether I'm able to send it to you via the chat window. In the meanwhile, we can also take questions.
Yeah, I think Mr. Anbu has raised his hand. Yes, Anbu, please ask your question to the speaker, Mr. Nagaraj.
One minute, sir. I'll unmute you.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Thanks for the session. So my question is that in the analysis part of AI, it is quite helpful when we want to analyze the quantitative aspects of our campaigns. But in terms of qualitative aspects, like what impact would it do on brand equity, share of voice, and sentiment? Can there be some use cases where we'll use AI in mapping these scenarios?
Certainly we can. So it goes back to a couple of things, right? So I cannot do this with the normal chat GPT interface, right? What I would have to do is actually build a model around this, and some brands have actually. We could build a model around this, look for signals, right? So there are you are already aware of social signals and media monitoring and so on. So we could actually and sentiment analysis. So we basically use each of these, put it together into a model, and then be able to say, what does this mean to our brand from a qualitative perspective? Just to go back to the quantitative thing, AI and quantitative don't mix very well. So you're perhaps talking about machine learning models that work on quantitative analysis, and those are a different beast altogether from this. I mean, this is a beast in a very different way. That is a beast in a very different way. The kind of rigor that you would need for training ML models and deploying ML models is of a vastly different kind. Whereas if you notice what I showed you today, like, I mean, it occurred to me naturally because I use it to solve these kind of problems. But having said that, if you opened a ChatGPT window, and if it occurred to you that you could ask ChatGPT these questions, then you are already halfway there, right? ML is not like that. That's the distinction that I'm trying to make. ML requires a lot of planning and knowledge about how to use the ML models way before you even start building, you even start gathering data and doing something with it. Unlike this particular instance where, by the way, one of the reasons why I use ChatGPT is it's free, right? You could just go in and use it and you could try it out. I saw that there were 30 people in today's session, and if you already don't have a ChatGPT account, it's very easy to open one and work with it. Quantitative, not anywhere close to as easy, for sure. But having said that, Google and IBM have very, very specific models that can help with quantitative as well. Okay, so one of the things I should say is at the Hindu, we work with anything that comes out. Okay, so we use OpenAI's ChatGPT, we use Vertex, which is done by Google, we use WatsonX, which is done by IBM, we use Perplexity, it's founded by an ex-IIT Madras person. It's been in the news for some time. We use Claude, we use Mistral. As time has gone by, we test everything that we do across all these models. Because one of the things that we find is, just like in advertising, you have creative-led agencies and account planning-led agencies and media-led agencies. In models also, we have specialists in certain models. Sometimes your question is best solved by one kind of model. So I'd also definitely recommend that while ChatGPT is a very easy starting point, you should definitely try the different models that are available to you.
Yeah, Nagaraj, Ravi Verma, his question is, what is the difference between 4.0 and the free version on ChatGPT?
Yeah. So 4.0 is has much more multimodal capabilities because it has a much higher token length, input token length. But one of the things that we've seen with ChatGPT is, so when we started working with GPT 3.0 was free for a certain number of tokens, and then you had to pay. When 3.5 came through, 3.0 became free. When 4 came through, 3.5 became free, and so on. So I think it's a matter of time before 4.0 will become free. That's one. But to go back to answering your question, the biggest difference is the input token length. So the amount of data that the model can take in before it gives you an answer, that's the input token length. In 4.0, it's like millions and millions. So when I started working with ChatGPT very early on, 1.5 years back, the input token length was 1024. Essentially, the input token length. You couldn't even send in an article for more than 700 words. You can't even send that in. Text article, you can't even send that in as an input token length when I started working. So essentially, it's bigger and bigger input token length. Bigger and bigger input token lengths, basically, non-technically, it means that you can attach media objects, you can attach videos, you can attach audio, you can ask for image response, you can ask for video response, you can ask for audio response, and so on. Earlier, that wasn't the case. You had to go to specialized models to do text-to-speech and text-to-image and text-to-video. Today, you don't need specialized models. 4.0 will take care of. Like in my demo, I showed you how 4.0 generated images, right? You couldn't do that in the previous version.
Okay. So, Mr. Anbu, do you we were not able to unmute you. Were you able to unmute you and see whether you can ask your question, Mr. Anbu?
Also, I sent the audio files via the chat windows. I don't know if somebody had an opportunity to.
Yes, I heard, sir. I downloaded. It is resembling actor Manobala's voice slightly. I found one mistake in one Anubavingal. It is
Yes, yes.
Anubavingal, like it was saying. So that was one
Correct.
small trouble with AI I could find actually.
Correct. We can
Pronunciation,
train it out
instead
of
of Anubavingal, it is saying Anubavikungal, which is a erroneous pronunciation that it has done actually.
Correct, correct. So one of the areas, like I said, you might have noticed that I worked with the normal chat GPT interface. I did not use my models and my training and all of this was the publicly available. So I actually have a model where Tamil is much better trained as a language, number one. And number two, we've also used, for training, we gave it lots of samples from All India Radio News. And therefore, the voice output that we get out of our own models, it's like much, much, much better than this. But like I also mentioned, we didn't tune the slight mechanical voice. We kept it deliberately there. But just for you to know, you can actually tune it out. If you spend like if you give it about 20 audio clips of very well done in the language of your choice, very well done voice, and then you can tune it slightly. If you perhaps spend about 20 hours or 30 hours on it, you can actually tune it to get very normal sounding voice.
Okay, so yeah, so people, is there anyone have any queries?
I want to ask one question to Nagaraj sir. See, using AI, is it, do we have to feel something about the ethical on usage? Like you have taken us through various models of exploitation and how it can be incorporated. But still there is a hesitation in terms of on a qualitative way. Can we go ahead and exploit it in full swing, or you have to hold it back? That hesitation is still there. Can you?
Right.
What is your take on that?
Yeah. So two components to what you call exploitation. The first component is anything to do with property rights, right? So, we are very clear that, again, I mentioned that because I wanted this to be something that people who saw this could try, I did this in ChatGPT. But we actually use, including our instance of ChatGPT, we actually use models that are trained only on open source material. We do not use models that are trained on proprietary material. We also have arrangements with our partners and vendors where they actually tell us, they explicitly, it's part of the terms of service that if by chance we found proprietary material in the output, they will actually indemnify us. Okay, so that's one part of the exploitation thing. So we don't feel too concerned about exploiting the models because the models are trained on open source and we are not infringing on anybody else's property rights. First, second is purely from output point of view. Like if you and I were assured this does not contain somebody else's property rights, then we obviously we are feeling better about how we use this. So the next question might be, I'm not very happy with the work that it's doing. So there are two things here. There are things that even 4.0 model that I showed you couldn't do 3 months back. But it's doing it now, and it's doing it well. And there are things that Google's, particularly Google's Vertex models, there were things that it couldn't do at all 1 year back, which it started doing 6 months back. 6 months back, when we evaluated it, it was okay. And then over the months, it's improved to such an extent that today we are actually very happy with the output. And when I told you that I have 3 things that are in production out of 70 POCs, one of those 3 things that is in production is actually powered by Google Vertex models, and it's doing an amazing job. So from are you happy to release this to the world point of view? I think it's a question of our willingness, more willingness than ability. It's our willingness and ability to iterate and train the models that we want to use for the output we want to have. That's part one. Part two is because with all of these, it's kind of like an ongoing conversation and things keep changing so frequently. Something that you might not be willing to release today into the wild might become much better quality in 2-3 months time, maybe 6 months time, and then you might be ready to do that. Another question that I get asked very frequently, and I don't know, Mr. Umanath, if you also had that as a follow-up question or whether it was implicit in your questions, what is it going to do to jobs? I'm very, my 1.5 years work with AI very clearly shows that you can use it to scale easily. It does not come at the cost of jobs. I mentioned that one of our fundamental principles is hit low. So if we were to agree that I can only have the number of people I have in my organization today, but I want to do more. All my clients are asking more stuff, more and more stuff. And I also want new clients because that's how my business will grow. But if I'm stuck at the same level of number of people, and that could be for economics as much as it could be for practicality, then you actually don't have a choice. You will be able to grow only if you use AI tools.
Sir, you answered regarding the jobs. So in terms of today, the machine learning is learning whatever human has created all these days or years or ages.
Correct.
So don't you think this will undermine the thinking ability of the human beings going forward, where machine ML will not have anything to learn? And on that age, what are we going to do? What will happen to the human race? Its creativity, ability to think.
Correct.
மூளை மலங்கி போயிடும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க.
இல்ல ஆக்சுவலா I have a very opposite view because unless as a race we are stupid enough to let robots make life-changing decisions for us, and I would like to think we are not stupid enough like that. If we are going to, if everybody intentionally uses robots only as assistants and not for taking decisions actually on their own, then I don't think the situation that you see will come to pass. But having said that, not everyone is always operating on good faith. We all know that. I mean, there's always some rogue element or the other that wants to do something. But my point is, for the ability of robots to be able to coordinate and work together and have kind of like a high memory and all of that, sometimes I think human imagination runs wild. I think sometimes we are more fearful of things all by ourselves. We don't need any support or help for us to become more fearful. I think the AI revolution is equivalent to the industrial revolution and earlier equivalent to agricultural revolution and so on. I think we will find space. We will find space that is unique to us, and we will find space to thrive there. I would be very, very surprised, despite the use of robotic weaponry and all that. I'd be very surprised if we generally let the robots run the world.
Hope we will not end up fighting with the robots like the film Wall-E.
Yeah. That's why I said that the human imagination is perhaps wilder than what the AI can do. Probably never occurred to the AI to do certain things unless we fed it with all our bad thoughts.
Lastly, the browsing age, Internet Explorer, search engine age, Google. So AI age, who is going to be the topper according to you, sir?
This is a very interesting question and a difficult question also. I actually think that before AI can become very, very strong and very, very popular, we have a few things to handle, and in fact, those are the things that make me fearful. Not that the robots will run the world. So, as you are aware, all of this AI work needs a lot of energy. Okay, so just like we had a situation with the net neutrality debate and the digital divide happened when .com happened, when the .com boom happened. We are going to have a situation where energy might not be available for doing all of this AI work, or alternatively, because of our naturally capitalist tendencies, we may pour more and more money into AI, and AI might take away energy that is required for growing crops, making cars, all of that, right? We might simply be at a point where we don't have enough electricity to run all our AI-powered stuff. And frankly, I think that will come to pass far before AI will take over the world. Even recently, I read some articles that were speculating on how some of the biggest makers of AI hardware might actually start investing in utility companies, specifically electricity companies, because they want to make sure that they have a captive electrical model, right, in-house. Whoever else gets power or not, for sure they will get power. So it'll all have to pan out. We know that changes in developments in quantum computing can fundamentally change the way AI could operate. Far less energy, far more power, that could happen. We could also be finding new sources of energy and better utilization of energy with better cells and so on. And it might kind of balance out. But we have to see what happens first, whether the AIs run out of power or whether we run out of power. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for the wonderful session, Mr. Nagaraj. Probably I'll now introduce our treasurer, Mr. Umanath, who's the co-founder and managing editor of Media News for YouTube, to give you a thank you note for your wonderful session.
Thank you so much. I thank all of you again for the opportunity. I think people have been very patient. We ran over time. Sorry about that. My apologies.
No, it
But
does
honestly,
happen for us.
I looked at the time only now. The questions were super interesting. So my apologies for going.
No. Typically,
No
it
apologies,
happened. It
as long as
happened
the
to us.
session was
More
resourceful
interactive and more
and engaging. I think people
informative.
worry about adding another 30-40 minutes into their schedule. So I think we are very proud about today's session, the 15th edition of the InsightView series. And we always take pride in saying that we keep adding more and more new aspects or areas or subjects to disseminate knowledge to our advertising community, which is into a constant evolution. So obviously, in this part of the world, we have to update ourselves, and Advertising Club Madras takes pride in sharing all this vital knowledge to the members and the advertising community and the marketing community to get updated with the evolving world. So last season we brought in PR, and this one was even more exciting with AI. Everyone was looking into, and so many are eagerly looking into, because marketers, right from marketers to advertisers, everyone is looking at it. Something a couple of years before, everyone was looking at metaverse, NFT, and all that. Now that excitement is gone, but AI seems to be a strong interface, and it is going to have a far-reaching impact on the world of advertising and marketing. So definitely this needs to be talked about, and we have. It is pleasure that a knowledgeable person like you has been engaged into this session, and you literally tutored us how to make use of AI, Chat GPT, and you took us through an ideation process, created a print campaign, social media post, some images, how to extract some images from Chat GPT, which is a good learning for me, and even a script for a radio advertisement, which even how transforming it from a script to even finally extracting it into an audio itself. So this is a job in normal world. You need a voice artist, a sound engineer, and all these Neando Pro Tools software and mic recording. So many things are there.
Yeah.
Wiped all of that, and you can do it in your desktop. What a change! I just think about small players who want to bypass all these and get the things ready in no matter of time. At least in a physical world, it will take to create that audio campaign. At least it will take half a day, even if you rope yourself with, whatever the resource also, it will take at least 6 hours. But it just took less than 3 minutes or 1 minute to get it. And this is the kind of transformation that we are into, people, and it's a really exciting session, learning for me, and I hope all of you would have enjoyed it. Thank you, Nagaraj sir, for your time and sharing this wonderful session with us and taking us through, tutoring us. So it's my time to thank all of you, along with Nagaraj sir, Presto for the design, Media News for you for the trade publicity, and the team in at Club Secretariat, Indra, Lokesh, and all of us. Thank you very much. And members and the participants, we are thankful to you for your patience. We assure you that we will come back with another exciting session in a fortnight's time, and we will keep thrilling you with more new areas. And please stay with us. And once again, thank you, Nagaraj sir, and signing off until we catch up with you soon. And again, a reminder from Bala, you can tell about the Maddies that is scheduled on 28th of this month at MRC. One reminder, please.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Uma. It's a very happy news that we are going to have the celebration of advertising the 42nd Maddies on 28th of June, happening at Madras Race Club, Gindi. Please, we will start selling the tickets, sending the nominated shortlisted entries in a while. Please keep watching our space and please participate. We would love to meet you during the Maddies. We love to see you winning. We love to see you celebrating the advertising. Okay, it's winning or losing is completely different. Being part of a fraternity, participating in an event like this, networking, meeting each other would be a real great platform. We are looking at close to 500, 600 people to participate. The the place itself can accommodate much more higher than the scale that we typically do. So we are even we would be humbled to receive an unbelievable entries coming in too. Okay, so as I told you earlier, we already got 1015 entries. We are close with 1015 entries, which is a record entry for us, and we are
Historic high.
starting. Yeah, it's a historic milestone for us. So we are started our judging process today, which will complete probably in 10 to 12 days time. Post which we will send the shortlisted entries. And thank you very much for this being part of this program. Hope we will catch up in 2 weeks' time. Thank you.
Signing off. Thank you. See you again.